let's unpack that decision. So, in your third year, in the middle of the end semester exams, that you would drop out of IIT, right?
Yeah.
So, welcome guys to a brand new episode of IIT Podcast with your host Somnath. Today we have another unique character and one of the people I came to know very closely in IIT KGP, and his journey is so unique. I was actually enthralled. Like he did really well at one point of time, and then he and his courses or studies dived, and then he came back up. And it's a journey of redemption. I would like to know more about it from the man himself, Dheeraj Chakravarthi. So yeah, Dheeraj, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Somnath. I'm honored to be here uh, on your podcast.
So the podcast will broadly be divided into three parts: life before IIT, life at IIT, and then life beyond IIT. So we'll get started with the first section. So we'll start with the first question, which would be: how were you as a student while you were growing up? Formative years.
Well, I think I was topping in my school. I was always in the top five or top 10 at my school. That kind of gave me a lot of confidence, going into preparation, I would say. And thanks to my mom and dad, who were always behind me in academics, I think I was a very good student in my town. Not a very big town as such. I grew up in Nizamabad. It's in Telengana. I was studying at a probably top three schools in that town, Nizamabad. And yeah, I was doing well in that school. So yeah, I was a good student. But then once I got into JEE coaching in my 10th class, I moved out of Nizamabad and I went to Gudivada. That's in, that's now in Andhra Pradesh. It's near Vijayawada, and to Gautam Concept School. It's a famous school for IIT Foundation.
Okay, so that is where your IIT journey started. Did you know about IIT beforehand? Were you already prepped to start preparing for IIT? And how was that?
Well, I got to know about IIT all from my dad in eighth standard. I was still in Nizamabad at that point. There was all about, I mean, at that time, I think people were getting to know about IIT. The school that I mentioned that I did my 10th class in, Gautam Concept School, they used to conduct exams all over the state for getting people into their school, the top people. My dad came across all of this, and then he told me that, yeah, I particularly didn't have any interest in doing MBBS or becoming a doctor. So I think the only other option was, doing engineer, doing MPC, which is what we used to call, which is what we call in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the maths, physics, chemistry stream in 11th and 12th. So that is when the school used to conduct a lot of these tests, and my dad found out about it. There was another IIT foundation that was being started as well in my town. So all of it was my dad. So eighth class was when I found about it. Um, in ninth class, I tried to give some exams, and then I got into that local coaching center that happened in my hometown itself in Nizamabad. That was near my school.
Did you find it tough to manage both school and IIT, or was it like agreement between those institutes to keep students focused as to where they want to study?
Being a studious person, I don't think I ever felt any uh, difficulty in managing all of that. At that point, it was always for someone who day in and day out was more about, going to school, studying, academics and all. It wasn't difficult. So it was fun. I had friends at the coaching as well. And then at school as well, the same people, a little bit of sports in the school some days. And after coming home, again, if there's time, some sports. So it was all manageable. Nothing felt too stressful. And at that time, it was not that serious as well. It was more about, okay, let's learn something that those guys are going to teach.
Yeah, we'll dive a little more deep into that because a lot of the stories about IT preparations. A lot of people know about it from this brilliant series, Kota
Right.
Factory, which some of our seniors are also starring in
Yeah.
that, especially Jeetu
Yeah.
Bhaiya. And but not a lot about IT preparation is known about the South, especially in your case would be Telengana, Andhra
Hmm.
Pradesh. It is pretty rigorous from what I have heard,
Hmm.
but it's not as famous. So coming from that
Hmm.
upbringing, how do you feel looking back at it at this moment in your life?
It's definitely rigorous and difficult if you look at how we've how post the IIT life or post or IIT life has been. So it used to be probably 6 o'clock. You have your classes, all the professors or lecturers are in, and then you have a 1 hour in between for breakfast, and then it's all study hours, classes. Then you have a lunch break and nap time for you have lunch break plus nap time for 2 hours, and then again it goes on until evening, probably till 5, and then you have another hour of break, 5 to 6 something. Then again it's study hours, and another hour in between for dinner, and then it goes on until 9:30, 10:30. So yeah,
Okay.
it's looking at it now, it's very rigorous, but I don't know. I mean, at that point, you don't have a lot of resistance to what's happening. You want to do well in your exams, you want to prepare well, so you don't kind of be in a rebellious mode because you're getting good guidance, good practice. All of that is really good. So we just went with the flow. I mean, personally for me, I never looked at it as such a difficult schedule to keep up with. At that point, maybe if today somebody says, "Hey, you have to do this at this point, and then this is what your schedule is going to look like," maybe I would say, "Why should I do that?" But at that point of my life, at that age and at that maturity, probably I was not rebellious or not really thinking of how rigorous it was. It was just, yeah, day in, day out, do these things, and then it would turn out well if all things go good.
Did you at any point feel any kind of pressure with these 15 hours days? Was it all the weekdays? Did you have weekends off, or how did you cope up with that? I heard that you said you didn't feel it at that time, but what were the challenges of that kind of a schedule?
So I think weekends, and coming to the weekends part, I don't think we had weekends off as such. Every Sunday we have an exam. You know,
Mhm.
the different. Sometimes the format varies, but in general, it's a test that that kind of gets you into the zone. So every Sunday we used to have a test in the morning. So that probably is around 9 to 12. So Sundays are a little, you have a little bit of a freedom, I would say. Not all Sundays, but most of the Sundays. Saturdays are regular. So Sundays are the days where we get to have some fun. So you have an exam in the morning, so you don't have to wake up that early as well. So it's 9 to 12, generally a 3 hour exam similar to the JE format at that time or the AIEEE format. After that, some days, most of the time, we had outings. So our college was in a village that was nearby Vijayawada. So we used to go to Vijayawada with friends, and then we used to watch movies. Most of the time, yeah, it's a probably a half an hour bus ride from our village, from the village to the Vijayawada. So it used to be fun. Vijayawada, I mean, in general, Telangana and Andhra being a very good movie going population. Uh, Sundays used to be full of crowds on the roads in Vijayawada, theaters, new movies releasing, all of that. It was very exciting to go to Vijayawada. Obviously, new movies would be releasing. We would plan, oh, we'll go catch this movie, that movie. Uh, and most of the times they would be sold out. No book my show in those days. So you had to go to the counter, stand in lines to get your tickets. Sometimes buy them in black. That used to be a very big, uh, you know, profession, not profession, but that used to be the thing there, getting your tickets in back. So yeah, Sundays were fun. And then, you have to reach by 5 or 6, again, back to college in the evening. Yeah. And then they used to make us sit for some time in the study hours just to get into the mood for Monday, just for an hour or two, so that, you've kind of erased all that fun and getting into the mode again of preparation. So yeah, it was good over the weekends.
And how many people were approximately, or students approximately, were studying with you in your institution? And also, how many people you knew were also studying like this in your state or in your region area?
Okay, I don't have an exact number, but maybe I guess 500 people, 400 to 500 people, or more than that, um, of the particular year. So it would be double of that, juniors and the seniors if you include them.
Mhm,
Across the entire state, I have no clue. So it used to be
mhm,
two institutes. At the end of the day, majority of the people chose those two institutes. One was Sri Chaitanya and the other one was Narayana.
mhm,
So I was in Sri Chaitanya, but then that particular institute was Sri Chaitanya's, but then it was a tie-up with uh, a person named KKR who had all these schools. The one that I did my 10th class from, that was Gautam Concept School, sorry. So Gautam Concept School, there were multiple schools of his. There were Gautam Concept School, Gautam International School. This was all KKR's. KKR is the name of the person. So KKR had a tie-up with that particular institute of Sri Chaitanya's. So it was kind of like the KKR used to get all of his best students into the school first, uh, for coaching, and then from the KKR schools, most of them would choose the same, his tied up Sri Chaitanya's college. So you would see the
mhm,
cream of the cream people in KKR's Sri Chaitanya. Now I don't know now how the
mhm,
situation is, but if you just want to get into the number, I there were, in the top 200, in my batch, in the top 200 open rankings in IIT, there were almost 20 people from that particular branch of Sri Chaitanya.
mhm,
So
mhm,
all of this research was done by my dad. So after Gautam Concept School, I didn't want to join that particular college because, like I said, that school, majority of that school's population would join the same college, Sri Chaitanya's college, in um, that is in Godavalli. That's the village name. So I didn't want to join because I thought, okay, it's the same people that are going to be there, because I didn't particularly like the journey in my 10th class. So I thought, no, I need a complete, new friends and all. So I would join somewhere in Hyderabad. I don't want to go to Godavalli. But then my dad did a lot of research. He looked at all the rankings of Sri Chaitanya, all the rankings of Narayana, and then not just looking at the rankings and which ones are better, but okay, these people, which branch did they, or not which branch of Sri Chaitanya are they from? Are they from High Tech City in Hyderabad? Are they from Dilsukh Nagar in Hyderabad? Are they somewhere in Andhra? All of that, he looked at that particular campus's ranks. And then he found that, there's nowhere, people are getting as good ranks as Gudavalli. You have to join that Sri Chaitanya, KKR Sri Chaitanya tied up college, because that is where all the good ranks are coming from. And then somehow I said yes, even though I didn't feel like joining that because of all the same crowd, the same friends that I made at that point. I said no, I want a complete refresher. Even though I was in that mindset, somehow I said yes to my dad, and then uh, yeah, after that it all went well.
Okay, great. And it's pretty clear now that you speak so highly of your dad. We can guess how your analytical skills are, where do you get them from? So, yeah. And in IIT, I would like to mention to all people who might be listening is there is a lot of students that are coming from that region. And in spite of quota being highlighted a lot, the Telangana specific education is pretty successful in that way. If you look at its success as getting into IIT, they are pretty successful. And in our time when our batch we started, so I was surprised at the number of people who were coming from the Telugu background,
Yeah,
and Telugu was so widely spoken in KGP.
yeah.
It was even more than Bengali or Hindi in that way. And I was surprised. My first year roommate was Telugu. My second year roommate was Telugu, and I started learning Telugu a lot because it seemed fun to say. Also, the movies are crazy, and it was really fun that the point and learning about Telugu culture. You know, కొంచెం కొంచెం అర్థమైంది.
Yes.
And yeah, it's great. Yeah. So, right, I'll come to the competition a bit. So, Dheeraj, let's say you were studying in a batch of 200 people. Did you already feel that you were excelling? So, you started from ninth or 10th standard. There's a 4-year window that you can gauge yourself,
Right,
how you are
right.
proceeding. So, how did that go in the 4 years?
So just like how even though I was at my school, I was in Nizamabad, I was doing well. Once I got into 10th into Gautam Concept School, obviously every topper from every school would be in that school. People who were
Mhm.
studying in their hometowns and doing really well. Most of those who are looking out for IIT and preparing for JEE, all of them were there. And suddenly you feel that, nothing special about you. I mean, there are people doing much better than you, and you're not really ahead in that race, if you want to call it a race. But yeah, it was complete. It was a very completely different experience. And sometimes when you see people doing much better than you, and you're not able to get those ideas of solving problems and all, it gets a little demotivating.
Mhm.
But still, I managed to stay uh, whenever I didn't understand something, or whenever I wanted to solve a problem, I used to ask my friends who were doing them, and I used to get those insights of how they were thinking. I remember very specific questions which I was not able to solve, but my friends solved it very easily. And then when I asked them, I got to know their thought process behind it. If you want to go into specific, I'll give you a very simple example.
Mhm.
I don't remember the formula now, but what is secant square theta minus tan square theta is 1? Or is it the other way around?
It's still around.
Whatever it is. Okay, I guess secant square theta minus tan square theta is 1. But barring that aside, I think the question was secant theta plus tan theta is 1 by 3 or something. And then you have to find out secant theta plus minus tan theta. Okay. I was like, okay, I have to calculate theta first so that I put that
Mhm.
theta in secant theta minus tan theta so that I get the answer. Obviously, see, when someone gives you secant theta plus tan theta is 1 by 3, okay, how do I even find out theta? I have no idea. And then I went and asked my friend, and then he said, a square minus b square is 1. So secant square theta minus tan square theta is 1. So you divide that, do that. And I was like, wow, okay, so that is something that I have to apply here. It's not, I can't go in a straight line of thinking and then I say, okay, I have to do this. You have to think out different alternatives to solve problems. And then, that kind of kept those little challenges which I kind of solved with my friends, or with the help of my friends, kind of kept opening probably some neural connections in my head. And then slowly uh, it became a habit to start thinking a little tangentially, not in a straight line. And then I was able to do better. Yeah, I was able to do better. And then slowly understanding the concepts, thinking about problems, all of that started becoming better. And then I went from school to college, we call college, for the first and second year of
Mhm.
our intermediate. So when I went into intermediate, again, it's the best of the best from the school, and obviously the other schools who come to know about the college and they want to join the Sri Chaitanya, KKR Sri Chaitanya. So it used to be even more competitive there. In the first year, there were 500 folks, and based on all the sectioning and all the ranking, they put me in the fourth section, which used to be think of it like, I was from 300 to 400, if you want to put it on an average in the 500 folks, which was fine. I thought, okay, it's still fine. I'm not in the top three sections or something, but I knew I had to do something. I had to get better. And then they do a lot of reshuffling of sections time to time for people to get to know, get to the top sections, and because there's better faculty on the top sections. So in the first year, after the first 3 months, I guess they have these exams to reshuffle, and surprisingly, I got into the top section. That again gave me a lot of confidence that I was doing really well. Just sticking to the basics, thinking about problem solving uh, in simple ways, not complicating it a lot. That gave me a lot of confidence that I was able to keep up with the people who were doing at the top. And I got into the top section, it was again, you get good faculty who are more concise with their explanations, and targeting the exam as well, in and the problem solving skills. So I stayed there. It was all getting better every single week, doing problem solving and all of that. All of that thanks to the professors and all the faculty, all the coordinators that are there who make us sit and study. So all of that went really well after that.
Am I correct in assuming that that was the first time you were staying away from family, or was it even
Even
earlier
earlier.
than
So that
that?
was in the 10th class when I had to go from Nizamabad to Gudivada for the Gautam Concept School.
Mhm.
So that was the first time I was staying away from family. But before that, I tried to get into the same school the year before as well, in my ninth, for the ninth standard. So they have this, like I said, they have these regional tests that happen in every town, and then they take the top few selected ones for a 1 week course and an exam at Gudivada, and then they give you concessions based on what you score in that particular exam. So if the school fees is around 50K, you might get probably like 50% off if you do really well. Those concessions used to be there. So I tried going into this for that exam, for that school in my ninth as well. So I wrote those exams in eighth. I got into that 1 week course in Gudivada, so I had to stay away from my family for that 1 week, and then I did really bad in eighth when I was trying to get into ninth, and because I was doing pretty well in my school in Nizamabad, and my parents thought, oh, he'll do really well. He might probably get even 100% concession, and he'll join the school for free. I got 0% concession, and I probably got 25 marks out of 100, which is really bad. I broke down into tears when my dad came to, get me again back to my hometown. So it was yeah, it was bad. But then at that point, my dad was also like, yeah, it's fine. I'm not going to put you in the school right away. We'll see. We'll try for the next year. And then, yeah, I did the same in ninth. I wrote the exam in ninth as well for the admission into 10th class. And that time it was good. I did decently well, got a little bit concession. I think probably, I don't remember clearly, but a little bit, not much. But at that point, yeah, my dad said, okay, now you're fine. You'll do well. So you, you can stay. Yeah. So yeah.
Was staying away from family emotional for you, or how did you handle
I
it?
mean, being a kid, not a kid, but whatever you want to call it, it was still all these were pretty new at that age, and for someone at that age, I was just probably 13 or 14. It definitely is emotional when you don't have your family, someone the people, the folks that you've seen and stayed with for your entire life until that point to stay away. There were days when you just break down. You want to talk to your parents. I mean, obviously, mobile phones and all were not allowed. So you want to see your parents, you want to talk to them, you want to, get the comfort of home. It was emotional, but I think, you get used to it as time passes. Uh, I think a few months, I would say, maybe 1 or 2 months, or three, depending upon your personal connection, all of that. But it was good. You start you start feeling less dependent after some time. But otherwise, yeah, you break down. So I remember a few times I just, you go into the room, and it's not like you have a lot of personal space as well. In one big hall, there would be 20 people, 20 kids, all the beds. So you don't have a personal space to cry. If you want to if you want to break down. I remember sometimes I just used to get into my room, sleep on the pillow, and then face down into the pillow, and then you let the tears roll out. uh, yeah, a few times it's happened. And obviously you don't want to let down your parents. They spend a lot, all of that additional, uh, I wouldn't say pressure, but all of that also kind of builds in that you don't want to, going back is not an option. You sometimes you think, oh, I'll go back and I'll do. I was just doing fine, and why push all of that? Let's go back, But then you also realize that okay, there's no other option now. Why go through all that hassle and all of that? So kind of make terms with it and go with the flow.
That was very emotional. Like, a lot of people might relate to that. I did not have personally that experience, but probably I would count myself lucky in that way. But yeah, a lot of people are studying like that
Yeah,
still, I might say. And, if they are hearing, like, people have gone through this and they have come out successful. If you still want to continue, there's a very good path ahead. And if not, it's still not the end of the
yeah,
world. You can still reconsider. I would ask parents to also maybe consider the feelings of the students as well. Right now, they have advent of technology, they have
yeah, yeah,
phones, they have means of
yeah,
communication
yeah.
right now. But right till in your time, there was no such thing,
Yeah,
as
I
you
mean, we
said.
don't have mobile phones. Obviously, there were pay phones that you have to, pay to call, and then some wardens do have mobile phones. So you have to call from there, give a missed call to your dad, and then your dad, calls back to the same number, and then you get to speak for some time because there are other kids in the line. So all of that I mean, it's not that it was completely off communication, but probably once a week or twice a week, you still get to talk. Not twice a week, but yeah, maybe once a week. It was a good cadence to just get in touch with your parents. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll maybe change the tone a little
All
bit.
right.
So let's say, you have prepared for IIT and finally the day comes where there's the exam day.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any additional pressure? I remember, our exam was on April 10th,
Okay.
2011. There was this huge euphoria going around in India because India had finally won the World Cup
Oh
and
yeah,
home
yeah.
soil, yeah, after 28 years, and that was all going on. So that was a level of distraction was there in our times.
Mhm.
But how did you prepare, and was there any additional sort of pressure, particularly on that exam day?
I I don't think there was a lot of pressure because of the number of times we have done exams. In every week in week out, it was always exams. So I don't think in terms of pressure, we were used to the exam, I would say, because we did it every single week, and distractions were very less, obviously. And we had the World Cup, so we were allowed to watch. They had a projector, and they played the match. I mean, it was very, very much fun. But again, it was all uh, up until that moment, and then the next day, it's all uh, you know. I don't clearly remember, but I don't think it was a distraction as such. And in terms of the exam, um, we had very good lecturers who gave us good tips on how to tackle the exam. One particular professor named SVK, sir. So there was one strategy that he had given in terms of how to tackle an exam. So once you start solving problems, you have a lengthy question paper. You don't want to get stuck on a single thing. If you waste time, you don't have enough time to do the things that you might have actually easily cracked later on. So he gave us good strategy as to how to, just mark something as, a postponed thing if you are not able to get to the answer within 2 or 3 minutes, and you can come back to it later. I think that just worked wonders because as the exam progressed, you start linking all the concepts and theories in your head. You get into the zone after some time. Maybe not in the initial 30 minutes, you're not at your best, but once you start building that confidence by solving the problems that you're actually able to solve. When you come back to those postponed items, you probably have an idea that you didn't get in the first 30 minutes. So I think that postponing strategy somehow did wonders, because you go through the entire question paper. If you don't get stuck on things that you're not able to solve, you are solving the problems that you're able to solve, get them, all the neurological connections are happening, all that neurons triggering. And then once you come back to the postponed questions that you've put for later, somehow you're able to solve with with a new idea that has come in. All that connections that have been made now are easier to you're easier to think the solution. I think that was one strategy that did like wonders for me. And then yeah, I mean we were instructed to eat very light. Don't eat too much that you start feeling a little bit of sleepiness in your exam. And then rest. Don't think too much. Don't talk too much. Don't discuss. In general, when just after the exam, oh, this, did you do this? Did you do that? Don't do that. Whatever has happened. You still have one more paper. So we had two papers, right? So in the morning and then the afternoon. So don't do too much of a discussion in the break. Just eat some food. Just relax. Close your eyes. Take a very small nap if possible, just to let yourself calm down. So I think all of that, we had very good people to suggest these strategies, and then all of that did help. And then obviously there's nothing that you can do on the last day, right? I mean, it's a game of consistency. The 2 years, you've already done a lot, you've practiced a lot. There's no new concept that you can just learn on the last day of the exam that can just drastically alter your rank. So it was more about keeping your calm. Don't try to do anything new. Whatever is done is done. If you're weak in some particular concept, let it be. Don't even. It's not that the entire paper is going to be on that weak weak concept of yours. So all of this, people were very, really good to guide us on, which worked out really good at the end of the day. Whatever is done is done. That would be translated into your score if you just keep your calm and don't panic, and just keep doing what you've done the entire year, because you had a lot of tests. Same thing. So it just worked.
What was the day like when you finally found out that you had cracked IIT? How did you find out basically, and what was that day like for you?
So I mean, honestly speaking, it was not about cracking it or not. It was about what was the rank. Uh,
Hmm.
so I think people in general at least can gauge their number of marks that they have scored. People discuss, all the answers after you've come out. I for one was not really. I didn't want to overestimate the number of marks I've made. So I always try to underestimate it. I don't try to I mean, this was a strategy that I used, which might not work for everyone. So in general, every weekly test that we used to have, I never used to mark what answer that I filled up in the OMR sheet. I just used to try to remember, and then when the particular key was given, I just used to try to get a base level. Okay, this much to minimum I will get, because I don't remember some of the answers that I've circled. So I probably, if they're good, they're good. If they've got they're bad. So I used to always look at the base level. I never used to calculate my accurate scores. So I think the exam was for 480. So I kind of remember that I will get something over 330, 340. More than that for sure, but that much to minimum I will get, because I never wanted to overestimate how much I got. But then my obviously the lecturers or the coordinators that used to be there, they used to want to know our number accurately, so that they know that okay, this guy is going to get this range of this rank. So they used to be pissed off that okay, why did you not mark your answer? You should give me an accurate score. I used to know I'll get something about 340. So somehow it was fine. So I knew that I would be somewhere in the top 1,000. It was not like not cracking it unless something catastrophic happens, that people lost my sheet and all. But yeah, I knew that it would be under 1,000, but I didn't want to really push forward that. So I don't remember the exact day what I was doing and all. Actually, honestly speaking, probably I was traveling. I don't remember from one place to another place. Yeah. But it was good. I obviously I kept my base. I got much better than that. I think I got 370 something, the number of marks. So that was kind of 30 above my baseline expectation. So that was good. And then the rank was also much better than I anticipated. I got 172, uh, which I did not did. I mean, it was good. I didn't really set my eyes on a particular number. I thought, okay, as long as it's top 1,000, I would get into a good college. I didn't have too much of a preference as such, so it was fine. I was happy that my parents were especially very happy. I mean, it was a very proud moment for them. But yeah,
Yeah, and what were the celebrations like?
I don't remember. I honestly I don't remember. It was probably a lot of sweets, I guess. I honestly don't remember that moment. Yeah, it's all wiped out by for the last few years. A lot of memories have been wiped down. But yeah, it was a lot of happiness around everywhere. Yeah.
No? Okay. And how did you get to choose the stream and the IIT? Because there are a lot of options
Yes.
available, and basically, as 172 rank, you had the luxury of choosing
Yes.
most of the places that you wanted.
Yes. So there was one day I was traveling in a bus, and the person who was sitting beside me was also an IITian. So he asked me, just
Mhm.
we started conversing, okay, what do you do? And all. He asked me, and then I said, okay, I just gave my IIT exam and all of these and all. And then he said, okay, what rank are you expecting? And I said, I'll probably get something inside 1,000. And he was like, oh, that's really good. So what do you want to do next and all? Which college do you want to join or what branch do you want to take up? I didn't have any preference. It was more about, uh, you know, cracking the exam rather than, okay, what stream do you want to do next? Honestly, until 10th, I did not know that I have to do engineering after I give the IIT exam. There was one day that I told my dad, okay, I'll write exam after intermediate. Then what? I'll get a job directly based on my rank. And then my dad said, no, you have to study for 4 another years. And I was like, oh my God, that is long, 4 years. So I got to know about engineering itself. I think probably after my 10th. I used to honestly think that okay, you write the exam based on the rank that you get, you probably will get a job. Some company will choose the top rankers, and some other companies will choose others. So that was, yeah, that was a very, it was all because we were just good kids. I don't know. Whatever my parents used to tell, I used to do that. So I didn't know what to do after IIT. So even at that point, after getting the rank, I didn't have a idea of the stream. So, like I said, I met someone on the bus. I took his contact, and then obviously a lot of top students choose electrical in Bombay, but I think that closes within top 100. There were options of computer science, and then I think Kharagpur electronics was only at Kharagpur and Guwahati. So these were the only two options for electronics. Apart from these three, I was never thinking into anything else. My dad was suggesting to go for computer science because it had good job opportunities even uh, after that. So it was always between computer science or electronics. And for some reason, I said, no, I don't want to sit in front of a computer and do a job. I'll probably invent something in electronics. I'll do well. So I said, no, I'll do electronics. And then my dad was like, okay, fine. If you are interested or if you want to do that, let's go with it. And then since Kharagpur and Guwahati were the only ones, I think Kharagpur was a little better in terms of the rankings. And also, yeah, my first choice was electronics at IIT Kharagpur.
Yep, and yeah, also the proximity to your home, right? One train away, maybe one.
Yeah, bro. I mean, yeah, that was. I don't know. My dad was like, okay, it's Chennai. It's very near. You could come home frequently. But then I said, no, no, I'll do electronics. Yeah.
Okay, so you chose electronics, and also, you opened that branch in our year, I
Yes,
would say.
yes.
You were very famous in our batch. We used to call you the department opener, the Rohit Sharma. Okay, so yeah, that was really nice. Like knowing. you from that angle, it used to be very intimidating for me personally. And right now, you're very good friends. But yeah, so with that, we come to the end of the first section, which is life before IIT. Now we'll move on to the next, which is life at IIT. So you have chosen the branch, which is EC, and also you've chosen Kharagpur as your first choice. So what was the first day like entering IIT? Was it intimidating, or well, what were you feeling basically?
It was an entirely new world to the places that I've been to. The only thing that I've heard about Kharagpur is, yeah, it has the longest platform in the entire country. So that was something that, yeah, I mean, we're getting to Kharagpur. It's something, it's on the top in the country right now, the platform. Obviously, the college as well. But yeah, that was something that was very exciting. And then, somehow the entire place was also, it was completely new. I mean, I don't think maybe I've been to another state a few times. I don't remember clearly, but that was a completely different place, right? I've probably never been to that part of the country at all. Um, so, getting out into a completely new town, everyone's new. Obviously, once you come to the railway station or even in Hyderabad, before we start our journey, the people, everyone was, joining the college. So that particular platform of Falaknama Express, wherever you see, it's all, people who are going to join uh, IIT next day. All the parents, people, all the kids with their parents. So it starts from Hyderabad itself at the railway station. So and then you meet a lot of people even in the railway station. People who are sitting across there also. Oh, we are joining IIT. So the first day, yeah, it was a completely new place. It's a vast space. I mean, never been to something like that before. You see a lot of halls as you go through the cab. You get to your hall. Again, it was all vast compared to anything that I've seen at that point in my life. It was very exciting at the same time, very nervous, very, not nervous is not probably not, but a lot of, it's a new thing. It's a new feeling that you're probably going to stay here for the next few years. Your parents, I mean, your dad, my dad would accompany me, probably leave in another day or two. So you have to start making friends. Your room, you have to find your roommate, all of that. Completely a new feeling, a very different feeling that you would get that I had compared to what I had experienced until that point.
Okay, and how did you find the IT culture like? So by culture, there are many aspects to it. One was the food,
Hmm.
then there are fests, then there is the socio-cultural activities, then you had elections, then you had NSS. We'll come one by
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
maybe starting with
Okay.
food.
So food obviously is different compared to what I had. But I was excited because I don't really think I had bread, butter, and jam until that point in my life. Bread and jam, yes, but butter was something in my household. Was not I mean, was not something that you bought and had it at home, or it's something. It's completely. And people used to give a lot of butter in IITs. Like you had the blocks of butter, spoons of butter handing out. So in the hostel. So yeah, I mean, I loved my initial days of food experience, and my favorite until that point, my favorite vegetable was potato. So a lot of potato, and I was so excited to eat potatoes because back in when I was when I was in my hometown, I used to ask my mom to make potatoes, and then she used to make it only once a week, or even at a lesser frequency than that. But yeah, after coming to IIT, it was a lot of potatoes, and then it was a potato overload. So after that, it was almost like, okay, I don't want to eat potato anymore. But yeah, it was good. The food, it was completely different from what I had until that point in the hostels that I stayed at before. I liked it.
Okay, and okay, coming to the socio-cultural aspect, so you start making
Yeah,
friends, and then there are other stuff going on apart from studies. This is just the main reason why we are there, but everything
yeah,
surrounding it is also quite
yeah,
exciting, I
yeah.
presume. So, how did you feel about that?
So, I mean, being in the first year in the in our hall of residence, the triple M hall of residence, you're not exposed to as much of what's happening in the college. I mean, that's my opinion. Times might have changed, or there might have been people, but maybe I didn't engage as much. But um, in the first semester as such, it was fun. Everything was new, so you'll go out into the campus a lot. You try to explore different places. Take your cycle, go for some riding around the campus, see people, see restaurants, or see the entire campus. That was very exciting. You're trying to explore as much as possible. Um, I I was particularly don't remember, but I started playing some sports actually after getting into IIT. I was particularly bad at sports. Gully cricket is something that we all played, but the level of sports in IIT is completely different. So at least if you really want to get into the good aspects of sports, but with friends we used to play volleyball in the hall of residence, some table tennis, etc. I got into table tennis in the first year uh, at the common room. We used to have the table tennis, the tables. Uh, all of that was good. Started getting into a few more things, which I was not able to do before that. I started getting into music as well. I was interested in music, wanted to learn some music at that point. So I started learning a little bit of guitar at that point. So yeah, it was all new, and obviously you don't have people, all the coordinators and all the people behind your back that you have to it was not that of a rigorous schedule as well compared to what I've been through in the intermediate. I used to somehow think, oh, there's no study hours after 4:30. It's completely my time. Oh my God. It's, I couldn't believe that. I thought, okay, we have to study again after the classes. And then, when you get your schedule of classes, and I was completely shocked. Okay, after some days after 3:30, there's nothing for me. Wow. Okay. So that was that just gave me a lot of freedom to do whatever I like.
Yeah. There are also some fests which were organized, top people, famous artists from
Yes.
all over India used to, perform for us free of
Yeah.
cost. And we used to have live concerts. How was that feeling? Coming from a little bit of a musical taste that you were growing up in those 2, 3 years of IIT and then.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't take much part in the Kshitij, the technical fest, but I think the Spring Fest was the most fun thing. Something or the other active activities happening across the campus. You get out with your friends, get into some, all the stalls. There used to be a lot of stalls, different things happen. So yeah, I think the Spring Fest was the most fun. Obviously, the concert nights, getting to see people sing and perform, all the bands in different auditoriums, all the crowd. For someone who's never been to any concert or a live music show, those things were massive. You enjoy a lot. You get with your friends, start dancing, jumping around. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it was a lot of fun going to concerts. I think some concerts which used to have some classical music, classical fusion kind of things. Some people don't try to, they're not into classical, so they don't come. But I used to think, okay, let's see what they have to offer. So I sometimes I remember going alone to some of them just to listen to the classical stuff as well. But yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Free of cost, getting to experience the live concerts was massive.
There's also the aspect of NSS in the first 2 years of our
Yes.
curriculum, where every Saturday morning we had to pick at least one out of the three options. One would be NSS, NCC, or
Yeah.
yoga. People would try to get into yoga just to lessen their Saturday morning blues. And we, fortunately or unfortunately, got into NSS. The amount of impact that we had, seems very good from today's point of view. But how did you feel at that time, NSS? You did a lot of work in the 2 years that you were at NSS.
I wouldn't say I did a lot of work. I guess, I mean, yeah, I think you and Arpit had a lot of coordinated a lot and did a lot of things. Um, I remember I was not that active in the first semester or the first year. I was always, uh, trying to be at the back of the pack, and the seniors were in the front, and you guys were in the front, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do anything with it. I'll just come. I'll just stay with the folks, just do something, and then go back. Um, but one thing in terms of NSS is uh, I don't know how much of an impact that it created. I might be wrong, but I felt that okay, the villages of that particular place might have seen a lot of batches come and go. It might be a little repetitive for them when a new batch comes and goes and asks the same kind of questions to the people in the village. So that aspect of it felt, I mean, are we really doing something? Even after all these years, we're still coming. People are still coming. The next year, also people will come, do something. Don't know how significant that'll be, and then they would again go back. So, from that standpoint, it felt a little less impactful. But I think there were health camps that we that you guys organized, that you guys took lead for and organized, which were very successful, which I definitely brought in a lot of people from the village and then got their tests done or their problems addressed. So I think those two were the moments that there was a lot of impact that was created. I think we used to teach as well to the kids. So those were good experiences. Obviously, it was difficult to
Yeah.
communicate sometimes because of the language barrier. But I think most of the times, we were able to manage.
Yeah, one particular incident I remember very fondly was you taking the lead uh, in buying sandals for kids. So we had this
Oh,
yearly budget,
yeah,
and first year we did a health camp, getting all the doctors
yeah,
together. Second year it was kind of we were able to organize it kind of free. So we had some budget left out, so we decided with the professor, Mr. Dilip Kumar Swan,
yeah.
that we could, we noticed that children were coming to
Yeah,
school with bare
yeah,
feet
yeah,
and there were stones and water. And at that point, it seemed to us like that is a big
yeah,
problem. We want more students to come to school. And that is where we decided to go with the
yeah.
sandals. How was that feeling? Like you had cycled a lot.
Oh, I don't, I
Please
mean, I don't
elaborate.
even remember clearly, man, now that you brought it up, yeah, I remember that, okay, we did something, but honestly, I can't clearly remember what kind of an effort it was. Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember. Did we do a lot of cycling to buy?
Yeah, we did a lot of cycling, and yeah, we were running back and forth from the campus to the store, which was way outside the KGP, maybe the city limits as well.
Okay.
We were going out there. We were first noting down the sandal sizes of each
Was I
student,
there?
approximately. Yeah, you were there.
Oh man, I don't
You
know.
did all of this.
Somehow it's completely wiped off of my brain. I can't even remember. I only remember one cycling experience that we went to that what was that 90-degree point or something.
Yeah,
That was the one. That was
yeah.
one thing that I
Great that you brought it up. We'll maybe shift to that as well. So yeah, you remember that episode
yeah
where we just
we'll
decided
take off.
on a whim, basically.
Yeah.
Tell me what you remember of that.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I think that was in a third year. Third
Yeah.
year. Yeah. I think some kind of a rebellious nature was growing, I guess, in the third year. So you said, yeah, there's this point, let's go. And then yes, I said, what was that? 45 kilometers from campus, I think.
Yep.
So
Yep. 35.
yeah, so it was 72 and so I think, yeah. It was a lot. I think given our cycle condition, they were not really, were not the comfortable or the, most luxurious,
Not
not
built
built
for,
for
yeah,
long
long
distances.
long drives.
Yeah, but I think yeah, it was fun. I think going was we probably started around 4:30 or early, yeah. And then
Yeah.
we didn't have lights on our
Earlier, 3 a.m.
cycles.
Yeah.
It was all pitch dark, but somehow we managed to read. It was fun. We took a lot of photos, I remember. We'll have to dig out those photos. I don't know where I have them. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, without VGA cameras at that time.
Yeah, and I think we experimented a lot of photos. We were trying new things at that time. It was fun. Yeah, I remember we went there. I don't remember the place. I think there was a river as well, which was flowing. I remember probably the stones, the water was very clear. It's all coming to me now, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think going back was very difficult, man. I mean, I think we had some food, but then the my seat was probably giving me a lot of problems. I had to switch cycles for some time, I guess, with you. Yeah, and then came back and then told my friends that I did a 70-kilometer ride. But yeah, completely new experience again. Never did that long for cycling on such a cycle. So, in fact, I mean, never experienced any other kind of cycle at that point. That was the only cycle. But yeah, it was a lot of fun that particular day. Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I remember was a stark difference is when we left at 3 a.m., we were carrying 3 layers of clothing. It was a winter morning, which I
Okay.
remember. And yeah, we reached around 7. That was 4 hours of riding cycles with breaks
Yeah.
in between. And then while returning, we started at around 10,
Okay.
and it was intense heat by
Uh,
that time. So if we started at around 10 degrees Celsius, it was 35 by the time we were coming back. And we were down to 1 layer of clothing. I think I was in my boxers at that point. And everything was back in my bag. It was like, okay, just let us reach our rooms. We'll just lie down.
yeah. Yeah.
So great. I'll go on to the next question. And how did the 4 years that you spent in IIT go? Like say from first year to the fourth year. And I know that you have a very interesting story during your third year.
So first year was fun. I think yeah, all the first years are put in the same hostel. Most of the first years, there's no second, third, fourth years that are MTech students. So overall, there was no you want to call it ragging or whatever the word, but let's just say let's just use the word ragging. Okay, there's no ragging because people in general at that point, yeah, whenever you're getting into engineering, people are like, oh, there's going to be ragging. Not in IIT Kharagpur as such, but in general, that used to be something that everyone talks about, not just in IIT, but any engineering college or any medical college. There's always people used to tell them, okay, there's ragging. If you're a first year, there's going to be people, asking you to do things or whatever. I have stories that my cousin who was doing MBBS at that point, who used to tell me some things that used to happen. My uh, uncles who used to tell me what kind of things used to happen in their college. So all of that. So you had that thing that, okay, there might be ragging and all, but I think we were in the first year put into a different hostel. So there was nothing no ragging as such. You had a lot of fun exploring, but also at the same time, the academics were. I was think academics were also important at that point because coming from those first 2 years of intermediate where you were completely into that zone of doing things every day, rigorously practicing all of that. In the first semester, I would say academics were also very important. Yeah, I went to classes every single day. Um, went to studied, tried to catch up, try to be on par with what is being taught in the class, so that you're not falling behind labs and all of that. I think somehow it went like a breeze, and obviously I got a very good uh, SGPA, semester grade point average, at that point. And then once, I think the differentiating factor from the first semester to the second semester was the laptops. People started getting their laptops. You have access to high speed internet, the local DC plus plus
DC
plus.
plus plus. Yes.
You start getting exposure into movies in general, because until that point, the Hollywood movies were not something that I was used to. probably not even one or two, anything that used to come on TV probably once in a while. That too, not, watching it like, okay, I have to watch the movie. I really like that movie. Nothing like that. It was just something that you just come across and watch. So never really got into Hollywood movies. But then I think once you get into second year, you have all the accessibility. I think somehow that became a factor in how I spent my time. And then the classes, you start bunking classes, you a little more, that still trying to maintain attendance and all, but I think people who we had these, the physics or the chemistry semesters, right? So my second semester was chemistry. Physics chemistry was a lot of fun, and then it somehow went to a breeze for the first semester, and then the chemistry semester somehow it started getting tougher. The maths or all of that, not able to catch up with the what is being taught in the class, and then somehow you lose a little bit of interest. That okay, what do I do? I don't want to go to class, and then you have nobody's enforcing that as well, that you have to be in the class every single day. So you had a lot of choice, and then laptops also coming in. Somehow there was a the procrastination factor was kicking in, and that kind of brought a lot of things down. We had electrical, right, in the first semester. Sorry, second semester. In the chemistry semester, we had basic electrical engineering. So even that felt difficult. So I think somehow I started finding other areas which I was spending time in. Maybe not consciously, but since you had choice and nobody is there to direct you with nobody's there to, even though people direct, there's no enforcement, so you still have, at the end of the day, it's left to you. So I kind of slacked off in the second semester. I think, didn't understand a lot of concepts well. Somehow everything fell into the last few days of the exam that you have to prepare. That was difficult. Yeah, I mean, my SGPA fell a lot from compared to the first semester, and that was a little bit of a. But overall, it was still fine. That okay, nobody's still scolding you. Parents were still fine with a good 8.8. I think my overall first and second semester average was 8.8 after the first year. So still nothing bad. My first semester average kept my overall first year average.
So to mention a number, it was
Yeah.
9.43. So one of the top, yeah, people there. And then, okay,
Y-
yeah, it came down to
Yeah,
8.8. And then how did you proceed from there?
yeah, I think it just went worse year after year. Obviously, since second year you get into your subjects, the branch subjects. Again, somehow if you don't understand something in the class, and if it doesn't seem too interesting, you start skipping classes. Nobody enforcing. Some professors don't even enforce the minimum attendance percentage. So you tend to start skipping classes altogether, and then again try to scramble through on the last day of the exam. Oh, I mean, it was just downhill for me, especially after the first year in terms of academics. And then, yeah, I mean, time just flies off. You don't know what you're doing day in, day out. You attend some classes, you don't attend, you skip some classes. Labs, yes, labs, we had to attend most of the labs. And then, again, even there, we were able to do decently well in the labs, I would say. But the classes themselves were pretty. I mean, somehow I was losing my interest in the subject, and it was going downhill. I think second year in terms of getting into your subjects and all, again didn't do really well. I think in this the SGPAs were again falling down, but still my parents never said anything. They were okay with it. It was not too bad that I was failing my exams or, getting 5 pointers or 6 pointers. They were still fine. Overall, my CGPA was still in the eights. Uh, so SGPAs were coming down, but still the CGPA was, I think, around eight even after the second year. And I think in the third year, I was completely done. Okay. I mean, in the second year, obviously you get exposed to you change your hall, right? You go from the first year hall to another hall. So people get split. A lot of your friends are in different halls, so you start making new friends in the second year. And obviously, there's the orientation program uh, that happens in the second year, where if you want to go into details of it, I took it seriously, but then I realized it wasn't that, I shouldn't have taken it so seriously. I mean, everything was, people used to make you do weird things that they used to tell were very important and all, but I mean, it was all BS. Uh, Looking back at it, it was unnecessary. If you want to orient something and give guidance, I think there are better ways of doing it than that orientation program. uh, I mean, it was not so bad as such. Again, I mean, I've heard of horrendous incidents of ragging in other colleges and stuff, but it was not like that. It was still pretty clean, but in terms of how it was done, I mean, it was all unnecessary stuff. I felt personally. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to get into a lot of things. I want to do music, but again, I didn't have that consistency. A lot of distractions, I would say. And at that point, I don't think I was that mature to understand that, okay, I was getting distracted. If I really wanted to get better at something, how do I tackle it? I didn't ask for help as well properly from people who are doing good. So it was a lot of, I would say, immaturity at that point, getting distracted and didn't know how to properly put myself in, how to properly go at a particular goal. So all of that led to very mediocre academics and also very mediocre in terms of other activities that I was personally interested to. Didn't make a lot of progress in the second year at all. Uh, and I think third year, again, I think academically the interest was just dropping and dropping. I started reading books a little more. I thought, okay, let me do something with this as well if I can do. But again, I think it was all a lot of immaturity, which led to a very particularly bad decision, uh, which
Yeah, let's unpack that decision. So, in your third year, uh, you decided pretty royally, in fact, in the middle of the end semester exams, that you would drop out of IIT, right?
yeah. So just putting it off at the table, it was a really mature decision. But if we really want to go into specifics of how I arrived at that decision, which was again immature, was uh, again a lack of complete interest in what I was learning at that point. Academically, there was nothing satisfying that that I was learning. So it was always skipping classes, going to some classes, but then nothing was getting into the head. And then yeah, obviously I was interested in music and I wanted to do something with it, if I must say. And then a lot of these books that I was reading at this point, maybe let's take nothing against those books. They are bestsellers, they were amazing, but they kind of pushed me off that edge. Probably let's take maybe Alchemist at that point, that tells, oh, you have to follow your dreams. I was thinking, okay, this is my dream. I want to do something in music. I don't want to do anything in electronics now. This is my dream. So if I have to pursue my dream, I don't want any other things that are distracting me. And anyway, I'm not interested in doing electronics. I don't think I'll do anything with it in my future as well. So why not drop out? And then I think I heard the Steve Jobs. So I think I watched that speech, even that always, I mean, Steve Jobs tells, oh, you have to follow your dream or if you're going to do something in your future where, you're going to spend a lot of time at work, you have to be passionate about that work and you have to be satisfied with what you're doing whenever you're doing it. So all of that, and then obviously the very big one of the thing that, okay, the people who have done really well, the Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, all these will drop out. So yeah, why not drop out? Maybe I'll also make it that big. But all of that was very immature, and I didn't consult people. I was probably a little um, hard-headed at that point. That okay, if someone is going to tell me If people were trying to knock some sense into me, I was not letting that in. So it was all very immature at that point. I was not it was not like I had backup as well. I mean, I was not earning at that point, so there's nothing as a backup. But in terms of what I wanted to do, there was no clear plan as well of what I would do after dropping out. It was more like, okay, I will practice music, I will get better at it, I will have whole day to practice music or do something. So I will get better much faster than if I am in the college trying to manage exams, academics and all. So I thought, okay, yeah, might be a good decision. So, but then, yeah, it was not good at all. So the moment I told it to my mom and dad, they were completely shattered. And obviously you don't know the level of emotion that they were feeling through when you're talking only through voice. And I only told them on mobile, on the call, and then they said okay, 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 and then they didn't let their emotions speak through on the mobile as well, but they were really shattered of what kind of a decision that I took. I think after the exams were over, which I didn't give, I went back home.
Third year tale that the decision that you took. So yeah, it is a cautionary tale as well, because at that age we are pretty impressionable, and yep, the wrong, even at the if the right things at the wrong time can create a lot of impact, a negative impact as well. I would say those are not bad books that you said, the bad videos that you looked at, and but just the timing was off, maybe by a year or two, and it left a big impact. So after that, you came back to IIT, more from persuasion, persuaded by your parents, I
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, I went back home. I understood that, okay, maybe I could have scraped past the academics. I don't think they were that big of an issue. It was more of, like I said, a decision that was made immaturely in haste. So I realized that, okay, it's fine. At the end of the day, an engineering degree from IIT still holds a lot of value, wherever you go. I also consulted one of my uh, professors who was also, uh, you know, who had started an organization at that point, and he was always there in the background, trying to shape how uh, how students do in their lives, and uh, overall bring a very big, a good change in the entire society. So I met him as well. He was also my lecturer during the intermediate, SVK sir. So he also, when I told him, he said, okay, but still, just try to finish your college. You still have it holds a very good value wherever you go. It can be useful in a lot of different ways. Do whatever you're interested in doing. Just get through college. Nobody's going to. I mean, it's not going to be that difficult for you to just pass your exams. Just do that and learn whatever that it is that you want to learn, and do good, because obviously, you know parents are also affected because of the decision, and there might be others as well. So sometimes you listen to some people, who you respect and have a lot of admiration for, who can uh, have done things. So, yeah, when he told me, everything entered my head very easily. So yes, so a lot of after that discussion with him, and also at home, I decided, yeah, let's go back, because I think after going home as well, I was like, okay, how did I even take this decision? What would I do if I just stayed here without going to college? So, you get a realistic sense sometimes, after something is done. So all of that combined, uh, kind of, you know got me back into college, and then, yeah, after that it was good. I think the third year, second semester, we had probably digital electronics, which was fun, what we did in our labs. something that which gave a little bit of a satisfaction as you're learning, because I think those things, which is what was missing probably in a lot of theoretical classes, that you don't, you're probably solving equations and doing things which I don't know, which were not that satisfying. But then once you did something in digital electronics, which you can see, which you something did um, yourself with your partner, all of that was fun. And you're seeing people around trying to do things as well. And when it works, it's a lot of satisfaction too that you did something. So a few things that such things actually can interest you a lot. So I think digital electronics was something that brought back that interest a little bit of enjoying a few things in while you're studying too. So I, overall, I think you just have to keep at it. Just be consistent with what is being taught. Don't think too much of in terms of is it interesting you or not interesting to you. Just try to keep yourself on par with what is happening in the class. You'll be able to do very well, in your exams. I don't think that'll be difficult if you're getting into after getting into IIT, unless you skip a lot of classes and just go behind a lot and then trying to scramble in the last few days. If you are on par with what is being taught and with a very minimal effort, I think you'll be able to score very well.
So coming to placements, so you have mentioned that you got into Target
Hmm.
the first time around. How was that interview like? How was the placement season like in general for you? So it's quite a buzzing season, especially the December
Hmm.
1st. People are just they prepare a lot for this, IT preparing for 3.5 years, sometimes 4.5 years,
Hmm.
just for this particular week or maybe a month. How was it like for you?
So it's a completely different season, right? So in general, I think in December you're at your home uh, for the winter break, but in the placement season you're there, refreshing that website. Is there any new company? Has my name been shortlisted for interviews? So it's the entire day, that goes into applying.
Mhm.
Are there any new companies that have come in? Can I apply? Sending in your resumes, uh, writing the written
Yes, and
tests,
us in our blazers,
blazers, and
writing cycles.
yeah,
Yeah.
obviously going from your hall to the campus. I think the Nalanda campus were where most of our exams were happening. Yeah, yeah, completely different experience again. Uh, with you're ready to some people have multiple interviews on the same day. They have to jump between different floors to give the interviews. Odd timing sometimes. I think for the written tests they used to be at probably 9 in the night or 10 in the night sometimes, the test, so that next day there's a possibility of an interview. Yeah, I think that's how I think what Target. I think I there was a written test or an online test. I don't remember, but yeah, got shortlisted for the interview. I think there were 3 rounds, multiple people asking different questions. What would you do in scenarios? Very different. I don't think you would have interviews as such now. Obviously, the when you're a fresher, the interviews are very different. So good experience talking to people. And then somehow, yeah, I think you have to be a lot more communicative in interviews. I think one of the very important factors, even today, people say that a lot. Like you have to talk. You can't just be silent and say, "Oh, I'm thinking." You have to let the interviewer know your thought process so that you don't have to be accurate in interviews. You don't. There's nothing. There's a lot of times there's nothing like a right answer or a wrong answer unless it's a puzzle or something. It's different. But in general, when someone is wanting to converse, I think it it's it was important that you also converse and be an active part of that conversation. I think Target specifically. One of the rounds probably was a little technical, but after that it was more of a conversational problem solving. There's no right answer, wrong answer. If you're talking openly with the interviewer, trying to give your thoughts, and if the interviewer is open, asking questions, you also respond again with your counter arguments. If you're more open in that conversational style, and even after that, the HR also has more questions about how do you handle these situations, or did you have any situations like this, what did you do? So if you are open to conversation, if you are open in that conversation, trying to answer with a good enthusiasm, I think you'll be able to land. So that's how I think I was able to land target during that.
Mhm.
And then I had my offer revoked because I had to do another semester. So my offer was revoked, and then I had to sit for placements again in my fifth year first semester. And then at that time, yeah, I applied. I got target interviews again. Target was a company that came on fifth day, I think fourth or fifth day at that time. But I got through well through the interviews. I did very well in the return again. But the stark difference, I didn't get through the interviews. I was rejected at the interview. I think the stark difference there was the way I communicated. I definitely remember being more open and more expressive in my communication in the previous year, but that particular year, for whatever reason, I couldn't answer with that much of a confidence. I was not open, a little restricted in my answering of questions. So I think that was a very after analysis. I mean, afterthought was that I didn't expressively communicate my ideas that particular year. So target also did not. I was not able to land target as well. And then I think uh, Rovi came in. I think on the sixth day. The written test was difficult because I was not a computer science student, but there were a lot of questions related to theory of computer science, like operating systems, etc. So I did not think that I would get through that written at all, but somehow I was able to. I mean, I got through the interviews, and then the interviews also. The first interview was a little more puzzle and problem solving, so that went well. Second interview was a little more into what I did in machine learning. I took a machine learning course in one of the subject in I think fourth year. So it was more related to that. I was able to answer a little. And then the manager's round, he was a little difficult again. But somehow, yeah, I was luckily, with a little bit of luck, I was able to get into Rovi. But yeah, the placement season is something that is very exciting. Sometimes stressful if you're not landing a job, and your peers are all, getting placed, and they're getting, they're getting jobs. But overall, I think at my time, it was at the end of the day, you will land a job, right? It was not like you will be left out, in the placement season. Most of the times, people landed jobs. Within the first 10 days, you were guaranteed something or the other. It was not like you will be left out and you have to try off campus.
Yes, that comes to the end of the section two, which was life at IIT. We'll come to the next section, which is life after IIT as well. So you mentioned, you had the offer from Rovi. Now, uh, in your fourth year, part two, uh, and now, what was your role that you started with, and where are you currently in your job?
Okay. So I did my electives, which I was supposed to do in 4-1, in 5-1, and then I had 6 months of basically a break uh, after my subject. So I didn't have anything to do. So 6 months. So generally, our academic year ends in April, May, but mine was done in November. So I was free after that. So I was supposed to join in June. I think my joining date was something around in June. But then I got in touch with the HR of the company. I said, okay, I have 6 months. Uh, is there any way you could join me joining in Jan or something. They offered me an internship. They said, okay, we'll offer you an internship for the 6 months, and then you can join as a full time in June. So I joined as an intern, as a software engineer intern in Rovi from January 2016 in Bangalore. Again, Bangalore was completely new, but I had a lot of friends who were already working at Target who were placed with me. So I approached them because I wanted to stay in Bangalore. So I said, okay, I will stay with you guys. So they were going day in and day out to Target, and I was going to Rovi for the first few weeks. Uh, so internship was again the culture at corporate was completely new, right? And never exposed to anything software at that point. All I knew was okay, maybe write an algorithm or solve a problem, run a compiler. Or I mean, most of the things that we never knew like how real software looked like. I mean, some websites and all is okay, but still you never know how you didn't really learn how the back end of the system works or what is front end or didn't even have a clue about what is front end back end or all of that, right? So completely new experience, and I had good mentors who were really approachable and never really judged me in terms of what my current knowledge was. I remember I went to my mentor and I asked, okay, he was like, okay, this is a database. I asked, okay, what is a database? And he said, okay, he was like, okay, you don't know what a database means? Okay, no. But then he said, okay, there is this, there are tables inside it. It's like data, you can store data. And also, yeah, I mean, it was completely new in terms of getting exposed to software and tools and all of that are used at a enterprise level. And my mentors were open and were very uh, helpful in making me uh, get used to the day in and day out of what tools you need to use, what softwares you need to learn, the version control systems, Git, and all of that. Linux, especially, like all the command line utilities, all of that, they were really helpful. So, yeah, I had an internship. I thought I wouldn't make it past the internship because of how I was doing. I was even though I was learning sometimes, the expectations of projects and deadlines, all of that sometimes was a little difficult. So I thought they might kick me off and say, okay, you're not fit to become a full-time employee. But somehow I was able to catch up. I was getting better at it. I was showing intent, learning. So all that, uh, was happening. I was enjoying as well what I was doing, and the full time the offer that I already had, but yeah, got converted into full time. New people again who just graduated at that point. They also joined along with me. So it was fun. Associate software engineer at that point. I mean, I was happy with what I was doing. I was learning, still learning, a lot of progress being made. Uh, I Right now I'm still in the same company. The company itself has changed its name because of mergers multiple times. So Rovi became TiVo and TiVo became Xperi, and right now I'm a staff software engineer at Xperi. Yeah, I never thought I would stay for so long in the same company, but somehow I've been enjoying it. I had a share of freedom to experiment, learn new things, and the management also is pretty good. The culture, the friendships that I've made, all of that is really good. A lot of people have left the company, so one of the senior most people now. Some, but it's fun. It's still going on well. Still learning a lot. I've shifted teams. I was doing Python before. Most of it was in Python. Now I'm doing Java. Um, but happy where I am and going good.
Yeah, I'm actually, very proud of you in the way that, you came back. The journey is not easy, and even hearing it at this point, it seems wow, wow, it's almost like from a movie. Like, the great student, then the dip, and then the recovery,
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm really proud of you. Doing great. So, come to the next question, which is, what are the skills that you picked up at IIT, which help you even today? Maybe at a job, maybe in daily life.
I think what not to do is what I've learned at IIT rather than what to do. I think looking back at what I did, okay, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done this, but I don't particularly remember. Uh, but in general, I think a lot of things boil down to taking responsibility for yourself. I think that is something that I eventually figured out that, you have to at the end of the day, whatever it is I have done, the decisions that I've taken, they're up to me, and that I have to live with them, or in general, even in my day-to-day things, whatever I've done, it is at the end of the day the decisions that I've taken, even if you say unconsciously or consciously, I have to take responsibility for them. And if I have to do better, it is upon me to show the intent or the initiative to learn. So that is what has happened. I would say when I got the job, that I was showing a little more intent in learning, and obviously you had a little more um, success rate, I would say, sometimes is also important, right? So sometimes when you do something and you are successful, that brings in satisfaction. That is what, even in Atomic Habits, that the Goldilocks zone, where you are stretched, at the same time, you're also satisfied, where you are feeling a little successful in what you're doing. You are able to solve a problem. Um if you're completely not able to solve, no ideas, then sometimes you have that, you get demotivated and start questioning things. But then you solve a problem, but then you are next time stretched, and then you start solving another problem, but you're stretched, you're learning, you're growing in that sense, with a little bit of intent as well. So all of that, I think, comes with a little bit of responsibility, that okay, I have to do this. It's not like the problems that were being thrown at me are something that has been never solved before. All of that is still out there. A lot of times you face errors, all you do is you just go to Google, find out the right solution, understand the solution, and apply it. So all of that is a skill.
Any suggestions that you have for students who are aspiring to get into these elite institutions, IITs, or maybe they are in IITs and trying to navigate problems which could be similar to yours and they might relate to you? What are your suggestions?
So, let's talk first about people who are trying to get into IITs. I personally don't think it has anything to do with the levels of intelligence or anything particularly. As some people might disagree, I mean, uh, you need to have that a little bit of a growth mindset, that you want to solve the problem, and you have to be consistent with it, where you're doing it day in, day out. Now, for example, my physics professor, SVK sir, he only said, okay, first do the H.C. Verma, the book, where there are some set of problems, and then you move on to, I think, DC Pandey. And then, if you've done DC Pandey, you still have time, move on to, I think, Irodov. I don't remember the books, only the authors, but yeah, these three were the only things. Again, it's not the end of the world if you're not getting into IIT. I just not saying do your best as such. Again, staying consistent, trying to uh, solve problems every day, and then being satisfied with the problems that you're solving, and pushing yourself, and then learning different concepts, all of it. It's not easy. It's not a overnight thing at all. I think you have to be at it for the 2 years consistently, um, to actually make it. Even if it doesn't happen, I don't think it's the end of the world. um, there's still institutions that are good. Again, it's not that once you get into IIT, your life is all, a bed of roses. Still, your engineering life, what you're doing in those 4 years still matters a lot. And if you're someone who's consistent and you have a particular target in your head, it could be as simple as getting a good job to becoming, doing your masters or whatever. I think you have to be consistent, having that goal in mind, making progress every single week. I think that is something for me personally, I always had the end goal that I want to do this, but then what is the plan? What is the step that I have to do today to actually get there was something, the short term thinking of what to do was not there. I think that is where your procrastination kicks in, or you just get distracted because you don't have a clear uh, day-to-day goal in your mind. I don't think the engineering subjects are too difficult for you to pass. You'll be able to. I mean, if you want to excel and get the top marks and all, maybe yeah, you have to be a little more rigorous with your practice, keeping up with the classes and practice and all of that. But in general, if you have to pass, I don't think it's that difficult. I don't know if that means there's a drop in standards of the colleges in general, but I mean, I think you'll be able to do it and still have a lot of time for what you want to, actually your passions, follow your passions or learn whatever it is that you want to learn. You still have a lot of time even if you even if you attend all your classes and academics.
So with that, we come to the end of that section. Moving on to the next, which is rapid fire. I'll just ask a few questions. Whatever the first thought is, you blurt it out. Okay. So, favorite subject before IIT?
I think physics. Physics was, I mean, I was good at problem solving, so yeah, physics was good.
Okay. Favorite professor at IIT?
Can't even remember, man.
Great.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't even remember. I mean, I know the names, but I don't think I had any favorites as such.
Great. Not an issue.
Yeah.
Favorite course in IIT?
Digital electronics in third year, and I think we had something in the first year physics semester. What was that? From the
Intro to mechanical.
mechanical. The trusses, all the torques, etc. I don't remember the
The
subject
stress
name.
and
Stress.
strain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was good. I really enjoyed that. I did really well in the exams too. Uh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
those two.
Kind of like visual creatures, wherever there are things that are needed to be explained visually, automatically our interests are
Yeah,
aligned there.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, most enjoyable year in IT?
Not third for sure. I think first and fourth. First year obviously was a lot of exploring new friends, all of that, and then fourth for where it's getting to, and you make more stronger bonds by fourth with your friends and all of that. So first and fourth were very much fun. Enjoyed them a lot.
Okay. I think I know the answer to the next question, but which was the most confusing year at IIT?
Yeah, third year, second and third. Second was also a little, I think. So you get into a new hall, so it was all a little new. But yeah, third was most for me. In terms of
Yeah.
academics, I think second, third, and fourth because yeah, nothing was getting into my head. Especially, I think the radio frequency RF subject. Oh man, so difficult. Especially the lab. You don't like you said. We visual creatures, so we saw at least LEDs and all in the digital, but in RF you can't see the waves and all, so you don't even know what you're doing, man. All we were doing was hitting that some box that was showing the needle moves. All we do was hit that box, try to do something, one of the vertical things. Can't see anything, so Yeah, very bad. I remember we had to do our viva of that twice because we didn't answer anything as well in that. I think we were the only ones. Very less number of people had to repeat that viva. We were just silent throughout that
One
subject.
thing I
Yeah.
might add, for me personally, that was the only subject I failed in IIT. So I had to go back during my summer vacation and answer the same exact paper
Exact
again,
paper, yes.
just to
Exactly same paper in the supplementaries. And we're still
supplementary.
not able to score even half of it.
I think the professor just realized, out of pity, just give a P, make them pass. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite lingo in KGP?
Favorite lingo. Oh, can't remember anything. Okay, give me something. Don't
Yeah,
remember too
there was
much.
the basics, peace and load. Then there
Um,
was Jugaad, Pol 2,
yeah, I
there was
wasn't.
OP.
I probably wasn't much of a lingo user. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe peace was something that I used, but yeah, I don't can't remember much of it now.
So yeah, with that we come to the end of the episode. It was very, very entertaining for me. Kind of reliving those 4 years. One thing I would like to add is when you took that decision in third year, I was one of the few people who were like extremely supportive of that decision.
I know.
I was like, wow, this guy is doing something different. Let's push him.
Yeah, yeah, man.
It was not like I wanted you out of IIT. It's just like, okay, this guy is so brave. I wish I had that,
Guts.
belief that I could do something out of IIT.
Yeah.
And then I hosted a farewell for you as well. A little bit of a whatever I could do. And then after a month, I realized that you were back in the next semester. I was like, what was the whole farewell for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I
it's
think
really
one of the
fun.
important things is in general, since everyone's doing something, you always want to feel different. You want to do something different. But I think it's not bad to sometimes do the normal. I think as I became mature, as I came out of college, came into corporate and started, as like people say that as you are in your uh, later 20s or earlier 30s, you get more mature about what to do or how to handle things. And I think it's being normal, being doing regular stuff is not bad at all. And obviously, there are geniuses, there are people doing excellent things, people starting companies, driving things, making a lot of things. But I don't think at the same time, nothing. It's not bad at all. Being a regular, normal guy doing just just a regular stuff. Do your job. Just, keep your family happy. Um, and it's not like nothing is dissatisfying as well at this point. I'm enjoying everything, whatever it is that I'm doing. So, uh, yes, there are people who are intelligent, they're geniuses, they go out of their way, they do things differently and all. And at a point in college, you might feel that you also have to do something different to feel worthy of being in the college, but there's nothing, I don't think, at this point, looking back at it, you don't need to. You just be consistent with whatever it is your passion, or at the same, if there's nothing, if you don't have any passion, no idea about it, try to figure out, but still keep up with your academics. Everything is still very much possible. You still have a lot of time. 4 years of college is you can do a lot of wonders. So you don't have to do anything differently to feel worthy of all of that. Just doing regular normal stuff is also fine. So yeah, that is something that
Yeah,
I've learned
yeah, very,
over the years.
very well said. Okay. So with that, we'll actually come to the end of the episode. So again, watch out this phase for more. Hope you guys enjoyed this chat. Dheeraj is the most interesting man I know. Again, this has been IT Podcast with Somnath, signing off.